This is another story that definitely won't be in any books. But like I said, I'm gonna start telling stories a little more of what I know are not gonna be in books. But it don't mean that it won't be turned into a picture or a movie. Cause basically what President Clinton them say, 100 years after I die, it's gonna be so much books and pictures about me, and they gonna write their books according to my text, my online media responses, and telephone conversation, and just anything. And what can be more better than video? So, for the stories that I'm not gonna put in any books, and maybe they'll put them in books, but I think this one is kind of funny and maybe a little scary at the same time. But anyway, Basil decided, aka Eddie, that he wanted to straighten up. You know, because I think his mama kicked him out, and I didn't know why, and he just said, D, I want to get straight, man. I want to live under a roof instead of sleeping outside and blah, blah, blah. And I want to try to leave this drug alone. And if you can rent or conquer a room, D, and I can do chores around the house, I appreciate it, D, to try to straighten up. We like brothers. And I say, well, basically, every man deserves a chance, dog. And I say, we best friends. And he say, but I can't live inside D. I say, why? He say, because you liable to wake up, your refrigerator, your carpet, all your furniture, D, every damn thing will be gone. And I don't want to hurt our friendship, right? So one day, it was supposed to be 24 degrees that night in South Florida. I say, basically, man, you probably need to stay in the house at night, right? Because I sleep in the den. The den was my bedroom. It's big. But in the front part, it's 3 bedroom empty. Ain't nobody living in there. I say, basically, just take one of them bedrooms, man. And you say, now, D, cause I be done told everything. Just give me 3 bills and I'll sleep outside D in a blanket, right? So I gave Basil a blanket, 3 bills. And we would drink about 1 or 12 in the morning. So 1 or 12 in the morning, he went outside. I went in my warm den. Woke up that morning, I ain't had to work. So I walked on the side of the house. Why Basil on the side of the house with icicle in his head, in his beard? So I gave him a hot coffee, cup of coffee. I said, Basil, you gotta come inside, boy, you the president. He said, D, I seen the Black Panther last night, G. You were just staring at me at night. I said, a Black Panther? And you ain't scared? He said, no, G. I just need to get warm, G. So I had the heater, already had the bedroom warm for him. And basically went in there. He didn't know I had the chime on the door. So I can hear when somebody go in and out the door, and I can hear that back in my bedroom. And about under 5 minutes after I went and closed my bedroom door to lay down, I hear ching dong, ching dong. I say, where can he go that quick in 5 minutes? So I get up and check, Basil gone. I'm like, goddamn. I wonder what he done stole, right? So like always, he come back later on and he say, D, he could have money for the things I stole. He's stealing things when he give me, or things I buy from him. So I don't get that mad. And I say, Base, how you gonna live with somebody, man? He say, D, that's why I told you, just let me sleep outside. I get a tent and blah 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 blah. I say, well, yeah, that's what you gonna need to do. He said, D, do me a favor. tell my family that I'm going to be on the inside in the womb. And you can throw them in the womb. I said, okay, I can do that, right? So one day I'm home alone, chilling. Knock on the door. Knock, 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 knock. Who is it? Rosie. Rosie? How the hell Rosie get past them damn dogs in the gate lock? I mean, they go, right? So I open up the door. I see the mama outside parked, you know. Rosie come in. And Rosie walked in like I ain't never met Rosie. But one time before then, and Rosie just walked in like she owned the place. She said, hey, tell me something. I said, what? She said, is it true you gonna let that cracker move with you? I said, yeah, we're friends. She said, do you know about that cracker? I said, yeah, I know about him. Man, me and him like brother, Rosie. Me and him and Tommy like brother. She said, you sure you know everything about them cracker? Because I'm going to tell you something. My mama kicked that motherfucker out because every time he come in that house 10 and 20 times a day, he still 10 or 20 times a day. And my mama couldn't take that shit no more. So my mama kicked him out. But, is you sure you going to let that cracker live? I said, yeah, Rosie, he going to live with me, man. We like brother. She said, well, promise me one thing. My mama wants you to promise her one thing. I said, what? Promise you won't kill that cracker. Because that cracker gonna steal. I said, no, I ain't gonna kill. Tell your mama she ain't got nothing to worry about. Man, goddamn, man. I know that man. I done know that man now a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? It just like opposite attract. I'm a saint and he's the devil. But somehow we get along. So Rosie left. Then she come back, knocked on the door. I said, what's up, Rosie? She said, my mama want to know, can she buy him a tent? And she'll put it in the backyard. And can you run electricity to it so he can have some light and maybe a radio? I said, yeah, tell your mama I can do that. I can do that. But we wait to see can he live on the inside first. She said, I'm telling you, man, you too good of a nigga for that. You know what I'm saying? She said, you even too good for me to date. Because I don't fuck with nothing but losers. She said, but don't let that cracker in your house, man. And I went to laugh and I couldn't stop. And because she's like the hardest white girl I know. I done seen her fight a couple of times. And I'm looking at Rosie fight like 3 and 4 black girls, big thick girls. And Rosie ain't what but 70 goddamn pounds. And I look at Rosie and whoop them one by one. Because I told Basin, hey man, y'all want to break it up? Basin and Thomas said, no. My sister can fight better than we can. Long as they don't double team, let them go. And Rosie whooped all 4 of them girls. I mean, she whooped them. So Rosie can go. So I know Rosie was in a fight, but me and her ain't never talked. Like we talking now, So Rosie said, Mama gonna get a tent and put it in the backyard in an extension cord. So I said, it's okay, right? But later on that night, I got a surprise. Because me and Bass were in the house drinking. Because remember, it cold. And his 2 uncles came. And the one uncle I never saw because he stayed in prison for killing people. And he big like horse Cartwright. And he sat down beside me. Then the young uncle, I drunk beers with him a couple of times. And I forgot his name. But we'll just call him Uncle Paul. Right? So him and Basil, they seen Basil bicycle over him. So they stopped by. So the big uncle stopped by me. The little uncle, he sat over there. He the youngest of Basil uncle. And he was doing most of the talking. And he say, it's all right to smoke in him, son? I said, yeah, sir, y'all can smoke. He said, it's all right to smoke weed in him. I said, yeah, sir, you can smoke your weed. So he gave Basil $50 and say, go get us some beer and get me some weed and get you what you do. Right? So Basil left, and when Basil left, they say, look here, son, we ain't here on a pleasure meeting. We here, and we heard that you gonna let that cracker move in with you. And I say, well, yes, sir. Me and him like, we like brothers, man. So y'all sure y'all like brother? Cause even brother kill each other when the motherfucker stealing from them. And we gonna tell you that cracker gonna steal. Say, I understand, sir. I understand. He say, my sister wanna buy him a tent in your bed is to let that cracker put a tent in back of the yard, and we'll do what we got to do back there so no neighbors can see. We'll put up a privacy gate in your backyard so he can stay in his little tent. You get him some electricity out there, that'll be that boy best bet, because that boy can't live with no goddamn body. Every time he come in the house, he steal. All day, he running down a goddamn rock. And he'll steal from anyone, anybody, anytime, any place. So that's why we telling you, don't let that cracker in your house. So Basil come back, he got a little weed and he got beer and the little things he do, and we all drinking and drinking. We ran out of beer. His uncles them, they had no more money, and I say, man, what y'all drinking? What y'all drinking? When they looked at me strange. You gonna buy? I say, yeah. A fucking nigger coon gonna buy? He said, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. That was the youngest. He said, I'm sorry, man. It's just the way I was raised up. You know what I mean? I don't mean nothing by it, bro. I said, man, they ain't worried about it. We all bust out the window laughing, Nigger coon. They ain't heard that since college, right? So basically when they got some bill. So me and all them talking. So now I'm talking to the uncle who stay in prison for murder. I said, what you went to prison for? Murder. What you did? Got that throat. Over what? A woman. I said, well, how many people you murdered? About 3. And 3 of them live. I said, what? What you kill them off for? Oh, a woman. Oh, goddamn. And they let you out? He said, yeah, I served my time. I said, well, what happened when you get out? Oh, when I get out, I go back in. I said, why? Woman. They goddamn cheat on you every goddamn chance they goddamn get. And I said, well, when was the last one you killed? I think he said 7 years ago. And I say, what about? Say, a woman. She cheated on me with him, and I cut her goddamn throat. I say, but you were supposed to get out, and you ain't get out. Why? He said, I had my wife picture hanging up in the cell, and I caught my cellmate jacking off on her. I said, what you did? I cut his throat. I said, oh, Lord, what the hell basically got sitting in my goddamn house? I'm scared now. You know what I mean? And this bitch sitting right by me. And the nephew right there, too, on the side of him. And I'm thinking, boy, this big motherfucker grabbed me. I ain't going to have time to get my gun to do nothing. So I'm trying to plan in my head of what be my first move if some shit go down. You know what I mean? Like, boom, boom. Just try to grab my gun real quick because I had it inside my, where my crotch go at it. And I'm scared and I'm thinking, man, this man might came to kill me. I don't know this man, right? And when I was thinking that, Lonnie Jr. My brother knocked on the door. He came over to borrow money. And him and Everett ran into each other like tanks. And I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm thinking they fighting. Me and the baby brother thinking they fighting. And Everett said, you son of a bitch. You been getting me in trouble because mama been mad at me for not picking you up on weekends and bringing you over there. And I'm like, Lonnie Jr., how you know this motherfucker? Lonnie Jr. said, that's Santa Claus. That's Santa Claus. Snow White here. Yeah, he picked me up and take me over there to see the grandmama and stuff, and we eat dinner, drink our drinks and moonshine and stuff, and I've been old Everett, right? So now I feel good. And Everett said, you Lonnie Jr., brother? I said, yes, sir. He said, oh, you good, Dan. You good. That's a good man there, you brother. So I lent Lonnie Jr. some money, and he left, and he said, Everett, man, pick me up tomorrow, man. I want to go see my baby, which is Everett, their mama. You know, old lady. She's about 100 years old, I think. So I feel good then, and Basil come back. Basil was happy, and all the thing Everett talked about was Lonnie Jr., him and Lonnie Jr., and how they love the mama. You know what I'm saying? And now, like all us, like one big family. You know what I mean? But Basil mama brought him a tent, and Basil sold the tent before he even took it. He ain't even ever took it out the pipe. No. You know what I'm saying? And the sister keep coming. The mama keep bringing the sister, you know, to see he put the tent up yet. You know, and I finally told the sister, hey man, that man told me he sold that tent. And they say, God damn, that cracker don't stop. How can you help a cracker who don't help himself? And that, another story of my ex-best friend, the Baser. Thank you, and God bless.